Welcome to DowerChin.com. Today we're going to take a look at a keyboard case for the 2018 12.9-inch iPad Pro. This is labeled an F17. Now, this is very similar to one that's labeled as IVSO. My only guess is that the manufacturer is maybe more of an OEM and sells it to different companies to brand. And this one happens to be one that's branded F17. So what we have here is a case that has a shell integrated with a keyboard. And the interesting thing about this case is that the screen itself swivels around the keyboard at the very end, mimicking what the old tablet PCs used to be, so that once the screen's rotated around, you can lay it on top of the keyboard and basically use it as a tablet PC. All right, so let's open this up, take a look at what we get in the box, and then we'll pair it up and give this a shot. All right, so having everything unboxed, you're pretty much left with this stuff. And you can see here the keyboard case, instruction manual, and a USB-C cable. So that's kind of nice. So I have had a bunch of these different keyboard cases, and a lot of them do not have a cable, and especially not a USB-C cable. So it's kind of nice that this actually comes with a USB-C cable. All right, manual-wise, it's first part Chinese, but then it later on in the second half goes into English. It talks about how to basically put it in, different options for charging, what the LEDs stand for, as well as different function key combinations and what each function key does. All right, so that's the manual. Let's take a look at the case itself now. I'll weigh this in a little bit. Once I get everything together, I'll weigh it all together, see how overall how much it weighs. You can see here that there's the shell is integrated in to the keyboard. All right, the shell itself is plastic. It's a hard plastic. It's a bit reminiscent of the Zagg style of plastic. So it's a, like I said, it's a hard plastic shell. It'll probably do its job for protecting it. It feels a little on the cheaper side to me though, but it'll probably do its job. I'm kind of torn about the hole in the middle for the Apple logo. I suppose not a really big deal. I would have preferred it just to be flat, but it's got a hole there so you can show off that you have indeed an Apple. So other things on the shell portion here, we have an opening here for the camera and flash setup. We have a notch up here in this area for the Apple Pencil. See if you can see from a lighted area here, we have these little holes here for the speakers and then the microphones. And then it's kind of like this little U here, which is basically for the power button. All right. Going across the top area, we have something similar. The top here, we have the volume rockers are accessible in the same way. Then on the bottom side, we have more holes here for the speakers and a kind of a little notch out area for the USB-C connector at the bottom of your iPad. Let's look at the keyboard. The keyboard itself is nicely laid out. I actually do like the layout of the keyboard being a little higher than down here. Like some of the ones I've had are more down this way. This is actually more comfortable in my opinion. It's more like a MacBook style without the touchpad, obviously. The layout of the keyboard, I think, looks pretty good. Inverted T here with a page up home and page down end, as well as the Control FN key. I actually like this layout better because OS X likes to have the FN on this side, and it actually always throws me off. So having it on this side, this kind of layout is much more preferable in my opinion. So we have our top row of function keys, which goes along with the home, the brightness, search, internationalization, keyboard, copy, cut, paste, and then media keys, as well as the volume controls and a lock. We have some LEDs up on top here to indicate caps locks, charging levels, charging and Bluetooth connectivity. And then nothing on this side. And on this side, we have a power switch and a USB-C connector. So this uses that cable that came with it to charge. Or you can probably use the cable that came with your iPad as well. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I will go and get my iPad, we'll put it in here, we'll pair it up, and we will give it a try. Alright, so here I have my iPad, and we'll go and put this into the shell now. So according to the directions, they want you to put the tablet in the bottom side first, which actually makes sense, so that you slip it in this slot here, and just kind of push it in, and the case kind of envelops and clicks into place. Alright, so you can see it's in. I'll get my pencil and we'll put it in here like that. And we should see it charge in a minute. There you go, Apple Pencil. All right, so you see there's the opening for the Apple logo there. And the opening easily opens for the camera. From this angle here, we take a look how it sits. Now, the one weird thing I've seen on this right now already is the fact that it does not close flat. You see that huge gap right here? That's kind of weird. You can see where the peg is for the point where the screen rotates. It definitely is a lot higher than I'd expected it to be. But in this way, it's nice and flat and just kind of tapers upwards. I got a mixed feeling about that. I'm not sure how well I like that, but what I would have preferred it if it sat more flat. And you can see from back here, and you see from this angle where it doesn't really lay flat. It kind of wiggles a bit. So that is a little unfortunate. All right. So, all right, let's go pair this up and give it a try. So I'm going to move to a more desk eye view, and we'll try it out. All right, so here I am with my desk eye view here, and I'm going to turn the keyboard on, and I'm going to pair it. So I'll turn the keyboard on this way. We'll see it kind of light up. And well, it looks like the battery's a bit low, so I'll have to charge that in a little bit. But let's go and hit the FNC key here. And once I hit that, you'll see that the blue LED starts blinking, which means it's in pairing mode. So now we will go to the settings, and we'll go into Bluetooth, and I'm going to look for it. Now, as you see, it identifies as iPad keyboard. So pretty generic. We click on that, and want to pair? Yes, pair. All right, now it's connected. Okay, so now that it's paired up, we can basically now use the function keys. So the home button, that works. The brightness, search, right over here. All right, there, search. That alert was in the way. We have the media keys as well as the volume and the lock button, which doesn't work for some reason. That's interesting. I can't lock it. Okay, so the lock button doesn't work for some reason. All right, so before I do any real typing with this thing, I'm going to turn the lights down and let's talk about the backlighting, because this does have backlighting. So we'll take a look and see how well that works, and then we'll do some typing and use this thing. All right, so I have the lights turned down, so we can take a look at the backlighting now. To turn the backlighting on, there's this FN key, and then there's this command key over here. If you hit the FN command, it will turn it on. So you got different color levels. You have 1, 2, 3, and then off again. 1, 2, 3. You have 3 different levels. So this is the only solid color I found, is the kind of like this bluish white color. You can use the FN option key here to actually cycle through different color variations. Now there's these rainbow variations, but there's no way to make them all like say green, all red, all purple. There's no way to do it. There's just not that option, which is kind of unfortunate because it just seems like the keyboard can do it. It's just not made to do it for some reason. All right, the only other color option you have here is this breathing mode, which is hit FNQ, and it goes into this kind of a blinky breathing mode, they call it. And there's I think there's 3 different speeds. So you got off, 1, 2, no, it's just the off. Okay, so that's just the on-off. FNQ is the on-off. Then FNW is the speed. So you got 1, 2, and then 3, and that's it. So 1, 2, and 3. And then if you hit the FN option again, you can actually change the colors of the breathing cycle. So it goes through that cycle of colors that you can choose from, all right, for breathing mode. But once again, the only solid color you have is that bluish white, which is kind of unfortunate. It really is kind of a bummer for me. If I can get that back again, let me turn the breathing off here. There we go. And go back to that color. Let's take a closer look at the keys and see if how they kind of how they're illuminated. So the outline of the keys themselves don't really show. All right, so which is all right. It's not too bad. The keys, I think the brightness is all right. I think it could be a little bit more bright, but it's it's adequate. There aren't the illumination through the keys themselves is pretty decent. There aren't any really nasty dark spots on the lettering. So it actually comes out pretty decent. All right, so let's look at the backlighting. Let's go and actually use it and do some typing. All right, so here I am at a desk eye view, with the keyboard turned on, let's go and do some typing. I'll bring Microsoft Word, and we'll just get right into it. All right, so the keyboard works as expected. It's pretty responsive. Keyboard feedback, as far as the key up-down feedback, is pretty good. No issues there. The page up and page down work just fine. So it functions well. Nice thing about the keyboard being further up on the case is that you have ample room down here for a wrist rest, which is really nice. I kind of like that as well. So it feels good to type on. So definitely no issues there. It'll work just as you would expect any other type of keyboard for the iPad. All right, so we're going to do the lap test now. So here I am in my little futon over here. I have the iPad on my lap here. And, basically simulating a situation where you might be in an airport or someplace where you just don't have a table at your disposal. So let's see how it works. Well, it works. If I open this up here. Now, the heavier part, obviously, is where the tablet is. And so you can see it does want to lean back because this front part, even though it has a battery, isn't as weighty as the tablet itself. So it will want to go back this way. Now, having said that, though, this area with the keyboard further up provides a nice little wrist rest area so that you can pretty comfortably just sit and do your typing over here and basically keep it from flipping forward. So it's very comfortable to use in this situation because layout is good, but just watch out that it is obviously heavier on the screen side. All right, so let's weigh things just so we can get a feel for how heavy things become with the case on. So by itself, the iPad weighs about, let's see, 0.63 kilograms or 6 kilograms. And then the case by itself, here, put this down on it here, is 0.95 kilograms or 2 pounds, a little over 2 pounds, 2 pounds, 1 ounces. All right, so let's put it all together and we'll do a final weigh. All right, so I have everything put together with Apple Pencil in this case. We'll put this down on the scale and see where it goes. And we are now up to 1.6 kilograms, or we are at 3 pounds and 8.5 ounces. So that's the combined weight of everything together. All right, so let's take a look at using the case in its various different positions that you can with it all assembled. So obviously the first position is as a laptop. Flipping it open, you have access to the screen just like a laptop. The nice thing then with this case is that your screen can rotate. So it kind of locks itself into these 90-degree positions, so you can rotate it around, rotate it all the way around, and then be able to either use it this way. So if you're, say, you want to watch something on an airplane or on your desk, you can look at it this way, or completely fold it down and have access to holding it as a tablet for drawing, or basically moving it around. The nice thing then with this setup, as opposed to typical 2-in-1s, the keyboard is actually not on this side, because those kinds of cases tend to fold over, and your keyboard is on this side. It's actually underneath the tablet, so it's not in the way. So that's kind of a nice setup. The other thing then is you can also open this up and tent it. So you can tent it this way. So say if you wanted to leave it this way to watch something or do some work, it's pretty stable here. The stability is not too bad here too, but it does tend to jiggle since the pivot point's down here. So it does tend to jiggle if you're using it this way. All right. So that's kind of the nice thing about this case. It gives you the opportunity to use it with a keyboard, turn it back into a tablet, tent it, or rotate the screen around. So that's kind of a very handy thing to be able to do. Now, things that ultimately are a problem with this case is this. This hinge area is problematic. If I can Open this back up again and hold it this way. You can see it's got some serious jiggle, and that's because you can see from this angle, this one tiny peg is sticking way above the bottom of the keyboard there and the bottom of the screen there, and so it does tend to jiggle. It would have been nicer if it was a little bit more flush to the base, so that it wouldn't do that. All right, and also it is an interesting stress point too, because you can see from here, this is actually where the case is starting to come out a little. It's come apart a little bit over here, especially on this side, where there's a lot of stress on this particular joint. And so longevity-wise, I'm a bit concerned about that. And ultimately, because of the way it's set up, there's this enormous gap that is between the bottom keyboard and the screen itself. So there's just this huge gap, which I think is just really unsightly to have. Aside from that, though, I mean, really, this is a nice case, a nice keyboard case. They got a nice keyboard. I wish the backlighting was a little bit better, but this is the most attracting thing about it, is this hinge. They should have done a better job designing that. It seems like a major oversight that they could have easily overcome with the design. So unfortunately, that's kind of the cons for this case. But if anything, the price is definitely good. You can't beat the price, because obviously things from Zagg, Logitech, or others are going to be double the cost of this thing. So it's something to consider if you want a relatively functional keyboard in a semi-decent design in a tablet PC form factor for your iPad Pro. So there you have it. A look at the F17 rotating tablet PC style keyboard case for the iPad Pro 2018 edition. If you have any questions about this thing, feel free to leave a comment below. I'll do my best to answer it. And as always, subscribe to my channel and like the video. Thanks for watching.